I encourage everyone to download our application form for PR Masters. We are trying to charter, and we would love to have more members. We just keep bringing them in. And it's amazing. A lot of us feel a little like, oh, how can we do this? How can we spend more time? And then we have these value conversations like, oh, this is valuable. Oh, I can see why I would be in this club and in this meeting and joining this and sharing. I would love to hear from some people who've been consistently coming to our meetings. And I'm going to see if Miranda, would you be willing to talk about why you've been coming to PR Masters?
Yes, I would. Hello, all. I am delighted to not be alone in any VP public relation efforts for my club, Clark County Toastmasters. I was in part of the TLI training about those who are in the role of VP public relations and feeling overwhelmed, like I could do one thing on 10 social media sites, never remember to go back to them, and it just seems like I don't know what to do, where to begin, etc. So the value has been a relatively small and growing more, I guess, intimate in the sense of knowing each other, community of people interested in marketing and PR. I love the fact that it's been very inclusive. I mean, thank you for the chance to even comment. So yeah, I've not been like the first one to say, give me 5 more obligations that I can try to juggle. But this one has just really sparked my interest and made me even feel more enthusiastic about Toastmasters personally and on behalf of my club. Maren, I'll hand it back to you. I don't want to overspend my baton.
You did great, Miranda. No worries. I'm tracking that time and everything is going smoothly. Andrea, you participated in our last meeting in the Show Your Page segment. Would you be willing to share tonight about your experience in the group, perhaps in that segment, anything you'd like to share?
I'm enjoying coming because I see you all as a bunch of very motivated people, and I want to be around motivated people. That's why I'm here. Get me around those motivated people.
I love it. Short and sweet. Before I met Andrea, I was already following her posts in the D7 Facebook page, like, oh, who makes those? She does these beautiful watercolors. And ultimately, people figured out who I was because we call it fangirling. We were fangirling each other. And it's really enjoyable to see the creativity that people have for presenting their clubs in all sorts of different ways. As I indicated a moment ago, we're moving into a different section of our meeting, and I switched spots for a moment, and we're moving into the evaluation portion. Of course, in Toastmasters, evaluation is like the secret sauce. It's that thing that we learn is so valuable, but we wouldn't necessarily join Toastmasters because, oh gosh, I'm going to get evaluated by a bunch of people. Also, it's a skill that I bring out into my life. And I feel like, oh, could everyone get trained to evaluate like a Toastmaster? Our first evaluator this evening, evaluating Eric Winger, and his talk on LinkedIn, that missing link, is Eric Bergman. Eric Bergman, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Madam Toastmaster. And thank you, Eric Winger, for your enthusiastic and detailed and informative presentation on the missing link. I knew that I would be treated to an entertaining speech. I've seen you in the past and have experienced your charisma, your vocal variety skills, and your energy on stage. And indeed, Zoom kind of shrinks your universe almost too small for your talents and what I know you do when you are appearing in person. But I wanted to say you excelled at the vocal variety. You wanted me to especially check on your energy level. Is it appropriate? Did it keep people into it? I certainly was into it. You were emoting, you were enthusing, you were gushing. You were changing your pace with more rapid and then slower pace of speaking. Your volume rose, but then it would be back at a lower level when you had a different type of message to get across. It was just an awesome display of mastery of vocal variety with words like wonderful, shareable, that's the magic, bravo. It was just wonderful and so effective. And you broke down some of the barrier between audience and speaker by moving in at one time and using your hand gestures close to the screen. That is the type of trick you bring from your stagecraft right into Zoom and not letting that stop you. You did have the dreaded tech failure. And of course, that's not for Zoom alone. Those things happen in person in an exhibit hall too, if you're speaking to a live audience there. So a great suggestion is, as we do on the Wednesday webinars, practice getting your slides up on screen with the host of the meeting, the Toastmaster of the meeting, before the rest of the group is there. Make sure your slide is ready to go, and then you'll be perfectly at ease. But you moved right along, and you dealt with the tech issue and just kept going, moving on from it with a little bit of self-deprecating humor. You asked about your slides. Are they clear enough and simple enough? And I believe they were very effective there too. And with minimal content on most of them, cool content delivered daily, memorable phrases like that. The slides that I had the most trouble with were those where you were showing us where to build a company page with a little black circle. Those were hard for me to see. Those were the only couple slides that I didn't exactly know what I was supposed to be reading. At the very end, I felt your energy let up a bit just on your last slide. And so I would just say, consider how you can really end strong and keep that energy that you had at such a high level earlier on, right through your final slide. Bravo, and thank you for teaching me a lot today. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Eric. Lots of little nuggets in there for Eric to follow up on. It's always wonderful to hear evaluation. Our next evaluator of Eric Winger is Kathleen Tully. Kathleen Tully, you have the floor. Oh, unfortunately, you're on mute.
Here we go. Thank you. There were 3 areas, just as a reminder, that Eric was asking me to look at, or that Eric Bergman and I decided to split off. And mine were level. This was supposed to be targeted at a beginning audience. Value, was there enough value to this that if there were experienced LinkedIn users in the audience, would they get something out of it? And then PR value, were there nuggets or tools or strategies that people might be able to use when they, at the end of the session? So I'd love to start by sharing things I thought you did very well. One, recovery. Everybody dreads, and I've had this exact same thing happen. I'm sure most of us have in some way. So by going through it, we can support you and encourage you, but you handled it with grace, even though you were frustrated, and rightly so. So bravo to that. But I really appreciated that you began the whole thing with humor. That immediately lightens the mood. And for a beginner, I think of beginners in particular, they're already feeling anxious about what's he about to teach us. Will I be able to keep up? Will I understand it? So to begin with humor, I think you start off on a very positive note. You immediately created focus because you said exactly what we were going to be doing. And I appreciated that. Again, trying to look at it from a beginner's perspective. Oh, okay, this is where we're going to start. This is where we're going to go. And then very quickly, you were very detailed. Again, as a beginner, I think I would really appreciate company page versus group page. And then you were very encouraging in terms of have fun with this, try different things. Your page will look better than mine. So bravo. Those are the things that just caught my attention in terms of things you did really well. There were a couple others I'm going to try and add in quickly. You had terrific reminders, and this would be good for beginners or advanced. Be professional, use real people, post daily. Those kinds of tips, because sometimes we can forget. And I think sometimes when we're experienced at something, we just kind of assume and we kind of forget some of the just simple things that can make it look so much better and have so much more impact. You also really highlighted content, and you talked about things that people don't often think about or consider, which I always think is funny, which is the brand portal, the video library, and TM Magazine and fellow Toastmasters. You ended with a nice summary as well. Things to work on. I felt a little bit differently, I think, than Eric Bergman, which was pace. I think it might have been a little quick for a beginner. Might have been just fine for someone advanced, but particularly in the beginning, and maybe it was because it got off to a little rocky start. But if it was literally a beginner using LinkedIn for the first time, I think the pace might have been a little fast, but something to play with. One thing I'd like to encourage you to do is maybe check in with your audience. Show of hands. How many are a beginner who've never used LinkedIn, just starting LinkedIn? How many have been using it regularly? You know, that kind of thing. So get your audience involved. You could do it also through a poll at the beginning or even ahead of the actual presentation. And then set your framework or adjust your presentation accordingly. I'd like to challenge you by a couple of things, and then I'm going to wrap up here. Challenge you. You asked us to look at energy and your expressiveness and your humor. Those are all very positive. There were two things that really stood out for me. I could only see you from about here up. So every now and then you'd lean in, but I see a lot of curtain. I also saw that you sat in the box, what I call the Zoom box. I'm going to encourage you to get out, and I'm going to encourage you to stand up when you give your presentation, because then you can start adding lots of movement. Might have been a little challenging to do with your computer, but still worth doing. Be careful that you don't undermine yourself. You have some fun with humor, but be careful not to denigrate or undermine yourself, because you have so much experience. But I felt it towards the end, you started to do that a little bit. And I think that you undermine your message then, and you've got such good experience that we can all gain from. I truly appreciate the I got this attitude, your great recovery, and the great summary of information. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Kathleen. Advancing to our next speaker, Marcy Fields. Her first evaluator is Carissa Yang. Carissa Yang is evaluating Marcy's professional looking videos, quick and easy. Carissa.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Marcy, what an engaging presentation. Thank you so much. I loved a number of features about your talk. I loved the novel use, at least it was novel for me, in which you were merged in front of your slides. I haven't seen that done before, and it really grabbed my attention immediately when I saw you small in the corner and you grew larger. I really enjoyed that effect, and I think that was effective in grabbing attention. I love your energy and your vocal variety. You project a lot of enthusiasm. You have a lot of great gestures, which also add to your speech. I liked that your slides were simple and you had clear titles in the top that helped orient me to different portions of your speech. I also enjoyed your concluding line, step out of your comfort zone and create something new. Some thoughts I had perhaps that I might have appreciated in addition. I wondered if you could have shared some screen grabs of the Animoto tool. You shared a lot of great information that was very convincing to me that this might be a tool that I would like to use, but I might have liked a little insight. How does this tool look? Can you take us with you on that experimentation? And could you have shared any maybe screen grabs in terms of maybe even short video clips or something you produced with it? I would have loved to see that. And perhaps before you concluded your presentation, could you have given me a summary of the highlights of what you like best about this tool? Overall, I loved your enthusiasm, your energy, and I thought you had great, convincing content. for this topic. Great, clean slides and an encouraging message. I would love to hear you talk again and talk more. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you, Carissa. Wonderful little bits of information from Marcy. Next evaluator is Phyllis Harmon. Phyllis, you have the floor.
Thank you. Marcy, congratulations first on your district role. I was the public relations manager for my district in 2016-17, so already we have this connection. Your presentation, what I was looking for tonight for you was, did you grab me? What was your stage presence like? And what did I connect with you? Of course, I've already talked about connections because we have something in common. That's always good. Let me talk about the background. Carissa loved it. I'm afraid I did not. The problem with these types of backgrounds, whether it's through Zoom or some of the other software that are available, is they leave artifacts as you move around, as you're trying to be energetic on screen. For me, it detracted from what you had to say. So when you're doing that, you might want to consider not, or you might film it first and see what it looks like to you before you move forward with that. Just a thought. I love the fact that you were actually doing a promo for a product. What a beautiful way to practice how to do that. I think I would have liked a fewer words maybe along the side, because I was reading those instead of paying attention to you as the speaker. So perhaps having them fade in and fade out as you go to the different points might be something for you to consider. Now, here's another thought for you, which lends itself, but it does not, maybe to a Zoom presentation. This would have been a beautiful presentation if it had been a video. One of the things that I do for my district is post-production. So I've done a lot of that through TV Toastmasters and as well as for the district. And one of the things that we look for is the same thing that they talked about with Eric, headroom. You had a lot of headroom, more so than you probably needed. You could have come in just a little bit closer to the camera. And if you didn't have the background so much, but it was more on a slide, you could have done that. So something to think about. I think that what you could do is to take this type of a presentation, use it as practice, and come up with something for your district. Because you have the skills, you're doing this for a living anyway, why not use that, create a video for your district and get it out on your website? And oh, by the way, I've looked at your website, and I want you to know that that step up to leadership that's out there, I created that back in 2014. Back to you guys. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Phyllis. That's one of the big values that we keep finding is the little tips we get from each other. I get little tips all the time. And this next segment is called Show Your Page. No, it's not Show Your Page, it's Dear PR Masters, like Dear Abby, PR Masters. But before I do that, I just want to encourage you all to download our chartering membership piece of paper that has to get filled out if we're going to actually get this done. So please download it. Please email it back to us. We have them coming in, but we just need more of them. We need more confirmation that you're excited. This is something you can do. The theme of my club's meeting this weekend is I'm taking my shot. So take your shot, join PR Masters. I think it's fun. Good time, once a month, not every week. Something to encourage you to learn something new in Toastmasters and beyond. Dear PR Masters, I have a problem. This is over to Eric Winger to run that section of our meeting. And I do believe he has someone who's going to chat about his PR problem.
Dear PR Masters, what does that bring to mind? Well, it should bring Dear Abby. How many of you have heard of Dear Abby? Oh, of course you have. Yes, it's all about therapy in a newspaper. Well, this is therapy for Toastmasters. We're all about therapy here. And here's a super secret hint too that I haven't given you before, but if you join PR Masters, I'm going to send you some free Prozac to help you on your therapy. You watch, okay. All right, so the way this is going to work, Daniel Brewer, our friend Daniel, otherwise known as Scotty, is going to read a Dear PR Masters letter, and then I'm going to ask you for feedback to help him with his PR problem. So please, Scotty from Bethany.
Scotty from
Tell
Bethany,
us.
right? Scotty from Bethany writes, I am trying to start a new Toastmasters club in the evenings. We want to be a club for new and existing members, and because of Toastmasters chartering rules, we are faced with needing specifically to recruit new members in order to charter. While we have a half a dozen or so we know will join, we need to not find another 10 to 14 members to join us from outside the existing Toastmasters community. We had a head of steam going into the last year, but when COVID hit, we lost some strong momentum. My question is this: how do you market Toastmasters to a community that may have heard of Toastmasters, but had either not yet joined or joined once and may be interested in joining again? It is nice that so many existing Toastmasters are interested in joining and helping us, but in terms of the magic number of 17 new members we need, existing members will not get us any closer to our charter number. I am interested in your thoughts, and I'll take the answer offline. Scotty from Bethany.
Thanks for writing, Scotty. We appreciate it, and we're here for you. So ladies and gentlemen, please raise your virtual hand. Let me see you, and let's help Scotty succeed. How's he going to bring in those new members? How's he going to find them? How's he going to market to them? Please raise your hand, and I will call on you for your advice. Marcy.
Hi, Scotty. Your problem isn't unique. It's one that many of the clubs are facing, especially as we've moved into this virtual world. But everybody's moved into the virtual world, not just our Toastmasters. One of the things that I believe is to find out what are the pain points, because I don't know what it's like in the United States, but I know here in Canada, we've had a lot of layoffs. And there are people looking for jobs and needing transferable job skills. I believe it's very important that when we create an outreach, we're not talking about us, but we're talking about the people that we're trying to reach. Find out what are their pain points and how can we perhaps solve some of those pain points as Toastmasters within our clubs. I know that what we have is the ability to make them more confident in having a job interview, more confident in dealing with conflict situations, more confidence as a speaker. All of those things, I believe, come together very well. And what I've discovered, there's a great summary of them on the Toastmasters.org at headquarters at the main page there. And if you go into the whys, why Toastmasters, I think we can apply that. But like switch the message. It's not about coming in, but what can you do that's going to help the people out there that are struggling now?
Thank you, Marcy.
So that's great advice, and that assumes that I've found the people and I already have the people on the hook, and I'm just trying to reel them in. I'm still struggling with how do I get them on the hook in the first place.
And this is where I believe, Scotty, that is how you get them on the hook with those things, because they need to know you're offering something to them. At least I believe that. That'll make
How do I get to them in the first place? Where do I find them in the first place?
We're all virtual now. Find them out in the virtual environments, your social media platforms.
We're going to move on. We're going to move on over to Maren. Maren from Tigard. You're on.
I'll help you out with where to find them. So where is your club located?
We're
like physically located.
We're in Sunset area, Bethany.
Okay. So are you on Facebook or LinkedIn?
As a club, we're not a club yet.
Right. So the way this club started, it started as a group on Facebook. So if you have a few people who can start a Facebook group, you have a place for people to go. You can make it public or private. My Toastmasters Club is public. It's pros and cons to everything. We have 66 members in there and 27 actual members, but it works. We share lots of information. But once you actually have a group, you can look through Facebook for groups in your area. You can even target the Sunset Bethany area, or you can target groups that are out in the world. That's a decision you'll make as you're forming this club. Because if you're planning on being in person later, you might want to think ahead. So you're looking for groups related to Bethany. Find a way to make a simple post, simple Facebook post. It can be as easy as a basic Toastmaster, like a basic Facebook post where you have short lines like Toastmasters meeting, some kind of fun line, the date and the time, how do they find it? And that's one way to start attracting people. Also looking for who has a newsletter and contacting that person and saying, hey, what do I need to do to feature this new club in your newsletter in this area, in the Bethany area? And then another option would be to think about who are the members you have now and ask them to invite. So you're inviting them, invite, always inviting. Learning how to do an Eventbrite so that it goes out to a greater audience will also be something that can draw them in. So just building a few of those skills will really help with that outreach. Like, people have to see you to know you exist, and those steps might help. But pick two, try them, learn how to do them, and then add on as you go.
Thank you, Marin.
Thank you.
A lot of ideas there, a lot of ideas. Carissa, I saw your hand next.
Yes, thanks, Eric. Yes, Scotty. Building on some of what Marin said, if you were going to meet in person after the pandemic, or when we're allowed to, and you know your venue, can you talk to the people who are at the venue about support? Does that venue have a newsletter, events calendar? Will they let you post a flyer there? If it's like a store location or public location, can you put flyers there if people are frequenting that location at all? Any bit of publicity would help. You might also try local libraries near that location. People are starting to go back to libraries, and you might be able to put a flyer there. That those libraries often have community calendars, and you might also Google to see if there are other kind of community calendars you can get an event listing on, because often nonprofits are allowed to do that for free. And perhaps it goes without saying, but have quality meetings. So when you're advertising your meeting, inviting people to show up, there's something to very much look forward to and to showcase your club. I know it takes a lot of motivation and you have to try many things, but what I have found is it's not any one thing that works. It actually is trying 10 things, and every one of those 10 things brings in one person, and it's a lot, but you can do it. I really do believe you can. Thank you.
Thank you, Carissa. Appreciate the thoughts. Everyone, I'd like you to point you at the chat. There are suggestions coming in the chat as well. And if you didn't know this, there is a little button with an ellipse on there that will allow you to save the chat so you can go back and read it later. So think about that. Before I go to our next PR master with suggestions, Marin, how much time do I have left here?
I would say you have about 2 minutes.
Okay. Andrea, I'm going to give you 1 minute, and I'm going to drop a suggestion after that. So Andrea, if you can do this in a minute, and if you need more, that's fine too.
Okay. Scotty, I was just curious if there's any kind of social media that you're excited about and want to learn more about, or that you like to use. I would do that. Do something that you can get pumped up about learning. if you're the kind of person that likes to meet people in person, one guy was talking about how he hands out business cards, Toastmasters business cards. So, you use what energizes you. That's my tip.
Fantastic stuff, Andrea. Yeah, what you're excited about will come out and infuse itself into other people. Your enthusiasm was contagious. I'm going to wrap this up. Scotty, thank you for writing in today. It's been a great segment. I got one more suggestion. We had our club had an open house in January, and we ended up with something like 25 members and visitors attending, which is almost double. The best place we got for source of people was I went out to every member and I asked them specifically, individually, can you help me find groups that you're connected with that you think might be good to market? And then if they gave me one, I created a little tiny custom flyer that I sent out to them for them to forward. And one of the best ones was somebody at Tektronix got that flyer that I sent to them and they sent it to their HR department, which then circulated around, and we got a lot of visitors from Tektronix. So it's your fellow members that can really help you spread the love, and asking someone individually just works wonderfully. Group emails, not so much, but an individual ask. So Scotty, I hope that this helped you. Any 10-second comments to wrap this up?
Be sure and tell all your friends to join Sunset Talkers on Monday nights.
It's the spirit. That's what we need. Yeah, exactly. You got this thing down. Thank you, Daniel.
If they're not Toastmasters, then they can certainly join. We're going to be hoping to charter in March or April. So thank you.
Send me some stuff that I can put out on my LinkedIn for somebody on Monday night, and I'm happy to share it. All right. Thank you everyone for dear Abby. Dear PR Masters. I'm going to turn it back over to the Toastmaster.
It is hilarious when we get together and start plugging our own clubs. We have this great event coming up. You should come.
It's good practice.
I will turn our meeting over to our timer volunteer. I put out the word on our Facebook group that, hey, I need a timer. And Zaida said, I'll do it. And so Zaida, take over the timers report. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see, on our first speaker, that'll be Eric Bergman, 3 minutes and 27 seconds. No, I'm sorry. Forgive me. I was reading the wrong one. Eric, we are on a 6 to 8 minute speech. He did 14 minutes and 25 seconds because he's got technical.
Totally a text problem. Not mine. I'm never long. Never.
This is a tech issue. That's why it added up to 14 minutes. Anyway, Adam is 2.32 seconds. Marcy, 6.58. On the evaluators, Eric, 3.27. Kathleen Tully, 4.07. Charisma, 2.26. Phyllis, 2.40. Now on the total of responses for Dear Mr. PR Master, we did a total of 11 minutes and 13 seconds. That's included all the speakers. Okay, now on the sidebar, Miranda Joy is 58 seconds and Andrea 1 minute, and Zaida about 45 seconds, Andrea 41 seconds. I didn't catch the name of this, but she's an evaluator and I remember her face, but forgive me. It's 32 seconds. It's that error row is 20 seconds. Dan B, this is on the sidebar of not the speeches, but just responses, 40 seconds. Brenda is 32 seconds. Adam is 45 seconds. That's it. Back to you, Miss Toastmaster.
Thank you, Zaida. That was more than I expected. So
I know,
wonderful.
I got a little confused.
Well, you did a fantastic job. I promised at the beginning of the meeting that I would share the results of our Mentimeter. And thank you so much for participating. I'm going to share the screen and show you what that produces. And this is our Mentimeter on what does public relations mean to you. One of the fun things that I like to do in my club is a screenshot. If you have any interest in taking a screenshot and saying, hey, I went to this meeting and this was fun and we talked about PR, you can take that screenshot right now and take this little picture with you wherever you go. Of course, you'll probably find it coming out from us very soon too. Things to highlight. What does public relations mean to you? Engagement, enthusiasm, building relationships, value statements, conversations, telling your story, information sharing, promoting the best, showcasing our best, celebration. Lots of great answers from our Mentimeter tonight. Well, let me do a little time check. We're at 8:31. I am 1 minute over. I would love if anyone would like to stay and discuss PR Masters a little longer. We did go slightly over tonight. Please fill out those forms and send them in so we know that there's interest. We know people want to join. And by the way, how many people turned in their paperwork today, Carissa? Put her on the spot. She's like, I haven't checked the email.
You really want to know? No.
I don't know. I turned mine in.
I have 3 in hand and a couple promised. How's that?
Fantastic. I think we have
I'll do
10
mine.
very consistent. Yay, we got another one there.
The next 7
Anyone-
days.
Thank you. Anyone else really interested in joining? Or things that you really took away from this? Or who you're going to tell?
Our club.
Yeah, definitely hoping to pass on some of this information to obviously my club and then some of my other Intel colleagues, maybe the 2 other Intel clubs. So great stuff. Loved it.
Is this open for other officers of the club or just the public relation officers only?
That's a great question. It's open to anyone who is a Toastmaster already. It's not just for VP of PRs, it's not just for presidents, it's for anyone who's interested in learning about PR. We want the enthusiasm, we want people excited about projects, and we know that we have to share some of that workload with other members of our club. So the more we can help other people to learn these aspects and appreciate like a two-way conversation on social media, the more we're all going to succeed, especially in this remote environment that we're in. Other questions? Anything that I forgot to say? I know I forgot to say that we're not taking money
Mara,
right now.
Maren, I
Go
think
ahead.
Ruby has her hand up.
Thank you, Ruby.
Hi, Myrna. My question, sorry, it says Marin here. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced. My question is, because it's once a month meeting, what would we doing in between? Because we learn by doing, would we be meeting offline, working on projects? I really like group work and group doing. So I just wanted to clarify what would be doing beyond
That's
that
a
one
good
meeting.
question. Yeah. So we actually actively put our projects into our Facebook group. So for example, Jennifer Schmidt, who did Show Your Page, she's actually my VP of PR. Sometimes she plops things into either the Slack channel that we use to communicate or in the Facebook group. Hey, everybody, what do you think of this? What do you think of my project? And we can give each other feedback. And then just planning these meetings takes work and time. So we have a Slack channel where we communicate with each other in order to keep this moving forward. And then actually we have planning meetings that are fun. So in fact, Adam was like, what's this meeting and can I come? And we're like, sure. So we talked about our upcoming meeting, things that we needed to get done for that. And then we talked to Adam about his club. So it's like a little bit of a support group and a little bit of we're planning for our next meeting the following month. Does that help?
Maureen, I really appreciated the opportunity to come tonight and to listen in. The fact that it's a once a month club for me sounds doable. I'm already in another one called Feedbackers. However, I really liked what Eric presented tonight, and I don't know whether he saw it in chat or not. I've asked him if he would put that together and let me publish it in Voices. I think that information is really valuable to all of our clubs, and I would love to be able to publish it. So I just put you on the spot.
Oh, I'm happy to share, Phyllis. In fact, I'll just take the video of that really lousy technical presentation and I'll just give it to you. It's free. It's absolutely free.
But that
No, I'll
doesn't
give you.
translate well to published material.
Okay, all right. I'll do something. Let's talk.
Okay, we'll talk offline. So do you guys meet once a month, this time of the evening? Is that the deal?
Yep, once a month at this time of the evening.
Okay, that works. Right.
Yeah, I think we're finding it achievable because there is the pressure of our once a week club. So having something that's focused once a month really helps us kind of hone in on that PR piece, have that chatter at other times, but still be focused on our community clubs.
Great.
Anyone else? Value you might see from coming? Other questions?
Question. We've looked at an FTH site. Does this club plan to use one of those or develop on another platform? Or have you already created a website?
We are not a fully chartered club yet, so we don't have a website. So we exist in our Facebook group at the moment. You're welcome to join it. We have lots of interesting things in there. We also hold some of our material for the Facebook group, and we don't put everything out publicly. We did post our last meeting on the D7 YouTube. Is that correct, Eric? It's in the D7 YouTube now?
Yep. Yeah, we've got it out there on YouTube. I'm going to put our Facebook link on the chat as well. So you're welcome to request to join them and join us.
And I think the videos could be a repository of something that people could really utilize if we were able to say, hey, we actually have a presentation on that you can watch. It might be a very helpful tool for people.
Have you guys considered having your own YouTube channel? That might be, with this group specifically, that might be something you'll want to consider. And I can certainly help with that if Eric's not available. So.
It's an idea, and I think it's a great idea. We have had, right now, what we've been able to do is Carissa actually timed our last video to be like, this is where this segment is. And if we had more time, and we would be able to break it into chunks for people too.
And that's one of the great opportunities with this club, is that there are so many different ways to get your message out that we as a small group can't hit them all. But if you have interest in learning YouTube, Nextdoor, LinkedIn, building a club website, all of that is available as a project that we can all collaborate on. So for what Ruby was saying, you know, are there projects in between? Absolutely. There are so many of them that we can break into small groups or do it as an entire group and just build something neat, but have someone spearhead that effort, because there's just so many opportunities.
So for example, Eric, what happened with your Facebook post this week? I know that at the beginning of the week, it was at 300 and something views. What was it at the end of the week?
Oh, you mean the LinkedIn post that I sent up in the, yeah. So what, I shared, how'd that work? I shared one of the advertisements for this group on my LinkedIn page. And I wrote a little splurge about it, and I noticed a little later that it had like 200 views, and I thought, well, that's nice. And so I shared it on our Facebook group, and then a bunch of people in there went over to LinkedIn and shared it again. I think we ended up with well over 1,000 views of that thing. So it was that kind of collaborative sharing and flash liking, if you will, that really got it out there. So I'll go look and see. I'll let you know in a second what the total count is right now, if I can find it.
I have a question. I do post on Facebook, and I created a page. But one thing, I'm not, you know, there are a few people that open it or whatever. I mean, what What am I doing wrong?
So you have a Facebook page, is that correct?
Yes. And I'm not getting and then one thing I really hate, excuse my word, is this boosting your posting. It says boosted and then they will charge you money.
And don't do it.
No, I don't.
Yeah. Okay, how many members do you have in your club?
Minimum. Where we are a very small club.
Are they all connected to your Facebook page?
As far as I know, but probably not 100%. There are two guys that I know that do not, don't like Facebook. So I'm thinking of a way. I got a page and I keep also posting about our meeting. Like I would say, let's have a pizza party. I have a picture of a pizza. And that's on my timeline, both on my timeline. And then I would put it on the Facebook page of our club. And I'm not getting any responses unless there is an algorithm going against me saying, boost this post. And I hate that thing.
Okay, so you got to fight the algorithm. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to ask whoever you have on Facebook. And I have members who aren't on Facebook, and I literally take photographs of our Facebook and send it to them on text. And you're going to say, would you share this with your network? So the thing is, if you can tell, if I like Toastmasters, I want to tell my friends about it. I'm not embarrassed. I like that I'm in a public speaking club. Some people are embarrassed. They will not do this. It's okay. That's them. There's some cultural things that happen with different people, and they do not feel this way. But those who can, if they are willing to share, and you can share the value of why sharing is important. Sharing is even more important than liking. It exposes your post to their network, a percentage of their network. And frequency is important. So more posts, the better to some extent on Facebook, because that's how you're fighting that algorithm. Because when you have a page, it's only showing like 2% to 10% of your following population, anything you post. So the advantage of a group is that it's showing it to everyone in the group. So your Facebook page is exposed to the world. Your Facebook group may or may not be. And there are some advantages to being in a Facebook group.
I think I'll add really briefly after, when I post something to the Silicon Forest Toastmasters Facebook page, I won't get many views at all. I'll get maybe 9 or 10. But if I share it on my own personal timeline, that always jumps up to 60 or 90 views, just me. So I post it and then I immediately share my own. And sometimes I do get a club member or two or people in this group that will share it as well. And then it jumps even more.
I noticed that because after I posted to our Facebook page, I would put in my timeline, I get more results. As a matter of fact, I think I end up with 2 guests. But for me, hey, that's an accomplishment in a sense, because networking is the key. And that's the only networking we can do through social media. But I think one is supposed to be a member soon. I'm not sure about the other guests. So the percentage on Facebook is really slim, but it doesn't matter. I would post it like over and over again, maybe 3 times a week.
So today, Carissa, actually, she's been doing it over a week, but she posted this meeting into other groups on Facebook, and you can do that too. And you can join local groups that aren't, it could be a work source group, but it could be just, fun in Portland or wherever you are. And you can say, oh, hi, great, thanks for letting me into your group. By the way, I'm a Toastmaster. If anyone's interested in public speaking, feel free to chat with me. And that way you're actually interacting with a group of people in a group. And it could be, it's a group that you're interested in. Like for me, I love preserving, and I'm in preserving groups. And you never know who's going to be chatting about something, and you're going to be like, oh, well, maybe Toastmasters would be great for them. So those are some ideas to like, so you're working on your page, but how can you get what's on your page or in your group into another location? And that's the strategy that will be helpful for you.
Yeah, I'm always posting to the international members group of Toastmasters, and that gets a bunch of views. Even though they're all Toastmasters, it still gets the word out, and you can still get visitors from around the world that will bring energy to your group, even if it doesn't bring members.
Well, we are at 8:45.
Okay.
I don't want to run this too long. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you fill out the form and are truly interested. And if you have any questions, email us, questions about projects and all those things.
Lauren,
Eric.
You asked me what our count was on that post that I was talking about a little bit ago. Our final count came in at 1,544 views. So that was the positive. That was the power of this collective sharing. So this is one of the best ones I've seen.
Yeah.
Who knows what our plagiarized post did?
Oh, those were even better.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you for coming,
Voices,
Phyllis.
guys.
Oh, thank you.
We did it. Thank you
stop
so much,
recording now?
everybody.
Yeah.